Anyway, so I'm going to do a review of these three paints. Now, as you saw in one of my last videos, I got a bit of a pot out and I just smeared it on my finger. I'm going to do these ones a little bit differently. I'm going to have a look at the paints. I'm going to compare them to some of the other ones I own of a similar tone. Now, I'm going to compare the colours. I'm not going to compare consistency. It's probably not fair on some of the older ones because I've owned them a lot longer. They're likely to be a little bit clumpier. But so at least colour-wise, I'm using the back of a shopping docket here, which is a pretty good white. I have a daylight window to my left with filtered sunlight. I have an LED light straight above me. So it's not ideal, but at least it's still going to be able to give you a direct comparison between the three. I'm not going to be using brushes for the main comparison. I'm just going to be using cotton buds, only so I don't have to keep if I had to wet the brush, then it could well be that it could affect the consistency of the next paint. So first one I'm going to be doing is the skin tone light. Oh, now the other thing I didn't mention. This is really, I've bought Matisse before. Last one I bought was Flow. They do a general one. I asked the lady at the counter what the difference is, and she said Structure has a lot more pigment and is a lot thicker. Flow is generally designed to flow. I'm really excited to have a play with them. Of course, with Structure, I no doubt I could always water it down and get it flowing too. I just want to have a look at the difference and see whether there is a use for both. There weren't a great range of colours, so I bought the ones that I thought I would be able to use. So let's have a look. Just get a smidge of this, if it wants to come out at all. I don't want to get the whole lot out. There we go. Wow. I'll be having a look at this again with a brush. It's a lot of paint, but considering the size of the tube is 75 mils, I haven't used an awful lot. I'm going to put it next to some Army Painter Tanned Flesh. Sorry about the thickness, this is my first go at doing a review on video. Tanned Flesh. So remember, all we're basically doing now is having a look at the colour, not so much the consistency. A bit darker than the Tanned Flesh. And the last one I'm going to do, I'm just going to dip it straight in for this one. I probably should have shaken up that Tanned Flesh, although I did use it last night, so it's going to be okay. This one looks a little bit similar to the colours. Oh, wow. That was Dwarf Flesh, Citadel Dwarf Flesh. And the Derivan in the middle. Yeah, interesting. Very, very similar to Citadel Dwarf Flesh. They now, I think, cost about $6 for 17 mils. This was $10.99 Australian. So yeah, about £5 and about 6 or 7 US. And this was 75 mil, so I know which one's going to go a lot further. Securely, the only thing I've noticed about the Derivan that has changed is on the older one is a plastic lid screw-on only, and on the newer ones is a plastic lid with a flip top. Now, if Citadel or anything to go by, we could get a bit of problems with the flip top. I find sometimes, well, based on my experience from the flip top and screw-on lids from Games Workshop, from Citadel, that when they introduced the two, like they did here, when they went from just the screw-on to the screw-on flip top, that we had a little bit of a difference in drying. So it'll be interesting to see when I'm paying $11 for that. I expect it to go probably last a little bit longer. I don't expect it to be drying out over the next couple of years. The next one I'm going to look at is the green grey. The reason I like this one is I'm currently doing some Germans. $12.99. I'm doing late war Forschungsjäger. The idea of the green grey. Now I haven't got anything to match perfectly, but I'm going to get some of this out. Wow, That is a thick paint. So this one is the Structure. Let's have a look. Wow. The lady behind the counter said it's almost like an oil paint. It certainly is. You would not want to use this on a mini. Wow, that is incredible. I've never seen an acrylic paint that thick. Certainly would not want to use this on a mini. You would just lose all details immediately. For anyone who's wanting to know, I don't know whether, I think that would be okay for, maybe the green grey. It's up to you. Field grey. I've got a field grey here. Model Masters Field Grey. Field Grey. Model Masters. Let's have a look. I'll compare it. Also, I might compare it to a dark green too. So, Field Grey. A lot thinner, as you can see. It's look at the difference. But again, we're not going to look at the consistency. Although this Model Masters isn't that old. It's only a year old. And it's pretty good consistency from what it originally was. I'm going to try Storm Vermin Fur Citadel. I was going to use it. This is, remember I was talking the other day, this is the last pot that I ever bought, so it's less than a year old. I just realised I've run out of cotton buds. I'm going to use this for what it's worth, really, regardless of the colour. If for anyone who has a good pot, I'll show you what it's like anyway. Oh, look at that. That's why I don't buy Citadel paints anymore. What I will grab is one of my favourite Life Colour. Let me just get that paint. Yep, there was no paint on there because there was nothing left in that. So Life Colour, dark green. This may give you, for anyone who uses it, oh yeah, this is certainly probably more one of the US colours. So there we go, there's the different colours. So definitely that one there would be easily transposable and probably give some nice highlighting if you were just using that over a darker colour. For Derivan Matisse Skin Tone Light. And that one there, green, grey. Yeah, I reckon that wouldn't go so bad for a German uniform. And a lot of people will say, no, it's too light, too dark. Well, from experience, from what I've looked at, researching different colours, is there was no one colour. A different mill would produce a different slight colour, and in the end they would get dirty, they would fade. Every batch of uniform had a slightly different colour. So I would certainly think that that would be okay on some of the legs. Please let me know in the comments if you think I'm absolutely insane. My wife thinks I am. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the skin tone again. This time I'm going to use it with a brush stroke. I'm going to apply a little pot. Now, I said I would normally be operating on a wet palette, but I want to give you guys a view for what it's like straight out of I just realised, there we go. Straight out of the pot. I'm going to take a brush, a dry brush. I normally wouldn't use these with gaming, but it's going to give you an example of what the stroke is like. If you want me to do it on a grey primed background, let me know. I can always pull these out and do it another time. That was the flow. So that was their one that was meant to be a little bit lighter. Here's a brush stroke. That was a tiny little dab of the Structure, which is their thicker paint. The flow is definitely a thinner paint, far more what I'm used to, very comparable to the typical model paints that we get in the pots. This one here, I tell you what, you're going to have to water that down. And that's going to go a lot further, really. If it's 2 to 1, you've almost bought yourself a 150ml container. And that was $12.99 Aussie, so that was a little bit more expensive. Green, grey, antique green. Certainly I would recommend that one. So that's it there, just as a colour comparison. That's it there for the brush stroke. In all honesty, look, my problem would be if I was using it on any sort of miniature that you're going to be losing that. Certainly got some great pigment, nice and thick, but you're going to be losing it into the crevices. It's going to fill crevices and you're going to lose detail. Not a bad colour though. Oh, big thanks to Jack Sarge, by the way. Jack, if you're out there, thank you very much. Another Tasmanian, a fantastic painter. I've had the luxury of painting with some of Jack's miniatures at a mate's place, and they're just fantastic. They're such a luxury to play with. Yeah, I showed this one on a video, on the last video that I did, and Jack commented that yeah, it's great paint, but it's Australian, and I didn't realise. I turned over on the back, and sure enough, it's made in Australia by an Australian company. We don't make too many things in Australia anymore. It's great to see that we're producing a really high quality product. Hopefully it's available around the world, and all you people all over the world can get it too. That's about it for now. I just thought I'd do a quick rundown of what I've bought and reviews. If I haven't done the review correctly, if you think really I'd really like to see that on primer or on a mini, just let me know, and we'll see what we can do. This page is new, and I'm open to all suggestions for which way I progress. Anyway, stay safe, stay home, have a great day.